Ukraine is having some success around Bakhmut and is getting to a point where it's not far off being able to encircle the Russian troops that are in there. The Russian response is to try and carry out counteroffensives of themselves. Well, the most significant event that has happened in Ukraine in the past couple of days is the re-attack on the Kerch Bridge. Now, the Kerch Bridge, 19 kilometers long. It was started in 2014, just after Vladimir Putin's first invasion of Ukraine, whenever he captured Crimea bloodlessly, and finished in 2018, when Vladimir Putin personally oversaw the first convoy of vehicles and actually drove one of the trucks across the bridge, symbolizing its opening. Now, the bridge itself is significant because Crimea was only ceded to Ukraine in 1953, and Russia sees it as an integral part of Russia. And there was always an agreement for Russia to maintain its Black Sea Fleet port at Sevastopol, which it did. And many Russians go to Ukraine on holiday. They see it as a natural holiday destination for their holidays by the coast. So it's got this emotional link into Russia, and it's got this military link into Russia. And that land bridge from Russia into Crimea was vital to re-emphasize what Vladimir Putin was trying to do and suggest that Crimea is now part of Russia, but also critical to providing a logistics link from Russia in through Crimea and up to the troops that are then fighting in the east of Ukraine. That logistic route, the line of communication, as it's called, there are two elements to it. There's the road side of the bridge and there's the rail side of the bridge. In October 22, whenever it was first attacked, both the road and rail side of the bridge was damaged, and the bridge was closed for up to 9 months as they repaired it. In this latest attack, it seems as if it's been an unmanned seaborne vehicle that has exploded under one of the elements of the road bridge, lifting it up and forcing it to fall partially off its supports, which has closed completely one part of the road. Within 24 hours, Vladimir Putin announced that they got another part of the road element open again, but that's probably likely very dangerous to actually drive across. And this will have been done for propaganda reasons to try and suggest that the Ukrainian attack wasn't as bad as it actually was. But because of its strategic importance, it's almost certain that the Ukrainians will continue to try and break that line of communication and attack it either with seaborne vehicles, as it has done this time. Unlikely it's going to be successful with truck bombs, as it did in October, but we've now got the UK Storm Shadow and the French equivalent that are coming in that are perfectly capable of reaching and destroying this bridge. There's a lot of discussion as to whether it is progressing at the pace it should be. Both President Zelensky and some of his leading generals have said that it's going slower than they would have hoped. But the interesting thing about a counteroffensive is, whilst military planners and politicians will like to have a timeline where they can set very clear objectives by certain dates and all the rest of it, the reality is, from a military perspective on the ground, you should let what's going on the ground dictate how fast or slow that you're going. And Ukrainian military commanders on the ground are dictating the pace of this counteroffensive. The Ukrainians are continuing to attack in through three main axes: Bakhmut, which we've heard so much about over the last 18 months, south of Donetsk, in the Advika area, and then in a line from Zaporizhia down towards Tokmak, trying to break that land bridge from Crimea up into the Donbass region. Ukraine is having some success around Bakhmut and has advanced several kilometers and is getting to a point where it's not far off being able to encircle the Russian troops that are in there and potentially cut them off. The Russian response is to try and carry out counteroffensives of themselves. So to the north of that, in Crimea, potentially pushing towards Kharkiv, the Russians are allegedly amassing 100,000 troops, 900 tanks and associated equipment. And this has come out of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. They're watching that. And the Russians are trying to counterattack down in that Advika area as well. What they're trying to do, again, is to stop the Ukrainians being able to concentrate their reserve forces to be able to provide an armored punch should the Ukrainians break through the very complex, very heavily defended trust of Russian defenses as they probe through their counteroffensive. Just as we thought we'd seen the last of the Wagner Group, the organization led by Prigozhin, who carried out that attempted coup a couple of weeks back, the Ukrainians are reporting that they're seeing the Wagner Group moving into Belarus and training Belarus soldiers. Now, the numbers aren't significant at the moment. There have been 2 major convoys reported going in, but what this could be is a sign that Prigozhin, the head of Wagner Group, has done a deal with Putin, and there have been comments from him to suggest that he is going back to the front line at some stage in the future, and the Wagner Group in Belarus could train a capability, and it will take them some time, probably through the winter, but ready for spring next year to potentially threaten to open up another counteroffensive in towards Kyiv, potentially early next year, to try and split Ukraine's ability to concentrate its forces to punch through the Russian lines. But whatever it does, it will continue to threaten from there whilst there are Wagner Group inside Belarus. Politically, Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, does not want to get Belarus directly involved into operations into Ukraine, but he might find that the Wagner Group are an acceptable close alternative to that.